Welcome and thanks for joining us for another episode of Code Girls on Air, a podcast exploring all things technology, female leadership, careers, education, and topics within the nonprofit sector. On this episode, we interviewed Sue Cheff, who is a former computer science educator and is a current program coordinator and curriculum developer here at Code Girls United. Welcome, Sue. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Do you think you could start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about your background and your career?
All right. So we're going to focus on the majority of my work life, which was spent in the classroom. I'm a certified high school business and technology teacher. And so I did that for about 24 years and some loose change, both across the state in Colstrip, Montana, and then I finished here at Flathead High School in the Kalispell area.
Nice. So how did you kind of get into teaching? Did you always want to go into this field?
I actually kind of fell into it. So I went to school and I went to college. I graduated from Ronan High, and then I went to college in Dillon and went there to pursue a business degree. So I actually have a bachelor's in business first, administration. And then we were over in Colstrip. That's where my husband landed his first teaching job.
Oh, gotcha.
And they needed tech help in the computer labs. And so I decided to apply to be a tech person because when we looked at the population in Colstrip, it was a lot bigger, and I thought I would have a little bit more opportunities in the business world, and that just was not what it was.
Not really what happened.
No. So I went and I applied to be a computer tech in the labs, and actually was working on they had iMacs at the time, and
Gotcha.
We were working on that platform, but then I had some PCs, and I was kind of a software girl. I really enjoyed in college all of the Microsoft tools that we were using, Access being the database that I absolutely adore still, Excel, Word, all of those things.
Microsoft Office kind of area.
Yep. And so really enjoyed those. And so I went in and I was the computer tech lab there at the high school. And both of their business teachers wound up leaving that spring to pursue other teaching business endeavors, if you will.
Gotcha.
And they came to me and said, "Hey, how much would it take? Like, how can we make this work? You're, degreed in business. You are working in our tech labs. What would it be for you to become a teacher?" And I was like, "I don't know." So I went and I checked it out, and I talked to my college professors from Dillon, and they were like, "Hey, we can do an adjunct kind of program for you."
Yeah, because were you still in school at this point?
No, I had graduated, and I was in this position with the school district.
Gotcha.
And then I said, "Okay, well, I kind of still need to work. How can I do this?" And so then they wound up working on a program where I was able to actually teach business. Do not recommend. So I was the business teacher there in Colstrip with another teacher that they had taken from a different department who also had business training. And so I was a business teacher while finishing my bachelor's in education.
Gotcha.
So I did that for about 2 more years. We stayed in Colstrip. And then I was in my final year of finishing the program and decided that we would move closer to home. So we came and interviewed in the Flathead Valley in Kalispell and wound up coming over here and landed this job, finished my teaching certificate and program degree, and then the rest is history.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I got here,
Yeah.
and then spent 22 years with the school district here.
Wow. So what's the breakup between teaching business and teaching, how many years did you teach business and then also teach MIT App Inventor?
Okay. So I actually had the opportunity to go and attend a Project Lead the Way, PLTW, training, and they have this class called Intro to Computer Science.
Gotcha.
And so I went participated in the teacher training there for a week. And so while I was there and I was getting that training, then we put that into our curriculum. And so I had been teaching freshman academy.
Gotcha.
And they kind of pulled me out of there and said, okay, we want you to focus on this. So I don't remember how many sections of ICS I was teaching, but that's where I got introduced to App Inventor.
Gotcha.
And so I taught App Inventor from 2015 to when I stepped out of the classroom in 2022. And so that's my story. That's how I got introduced to App Inventor.
Wonderful. So what would you say surprised you most when you were starting out teaching, just overall?
My story is a little bit different than, I guess, if you were to go to college and like become an educator.
Go
so
right
because
into it,
I was teaching while I was getting my degree. So what was, I guess, the struggle, if you will, was that I was in the classroom with students, teaching them and learning all of the foundation of like, how do you take grades and how do you give grades and how do you
just
come up
teacher
with
stuff.
lessons. Yeah, just the teacher basics. I was totally fine on the business elements, software. Like I knew how to execute that. Like
Your actual material.
Hey, today we're going to create this spreadsheet and this is what we want it to do. And so this is our end of the period task. Let's get to work. But some of those other things. So that was probably the biggest struggle. Plus, I was married. We had a couple of babies. And so it was managing all of that personal life.
You're a mom
family
in the
life.
midst of all this.
Family
How did
life.
you kind of balance all of that as this was going down?
I joke about it now. So I've been happily married to my husband of 30 years now. And we had a revolving door marriage. But what was so cool about Colstrip was that it was a family community. Mm-hmm. So my husband was coaching at the time and we would pack up the kids and go to the game. And I don't know how that worked with me teaching, but the school was like, yeah, pick up your kids and go to the game and support our football players or our wrestlers. And so it was a balance. Then they were obviously older when I went to the Project Lead the Way. And I was more set in my career. So it was adding new lessons, new opportunities and stuff like that. So for them, and it was just, App Inventor was kind of like that great little balance of with business to with the technology piece. Because it was just, the opportunity was given to me at a time when I was kind of like, I need something different to liven up my day. You know, it hadn't become completely repetitive, but I was excited to have new curriculum,
something different.
and a different population of students were signing up for it. So
more technology interested kids in just business.
Right, and I absolutely adored teaching freshmen. It was they're one of my funnest people group, if you will, in the educational world. So that was a lot of fun teaching careers to them, but so I missed that aspect. But with ICS and App Inventor, I had a lot of freshmen coming in wanting to take that and explore the computer programming world. And so it was a lot of fun to do that. And it's so awesome to watch students come up with an app of their own and create it. Yes. And then watch it work or, I can't get this to work. Okay, well, class is almost done. Put a note somewhere. And let's come back to it tomorrow and I'll reach out and see what we can do to get this to move from point A to point B, for their project. And so that was just a lot of fun to be able to do that. And in that class, we also, I learned with the students, because they didn't touch a lot on it. They focused on Project Lead the Way when we went to our training on a lot on App Inventor, but we also taught CSS and HTML. So they created a very quick little page, web page. And then they also were introduced and we did some stuff with Python. But usually that came at the end of the class. And so we were trying to put it in there and trying to get them kind of to the point where they had enough information to be dangerous. But a lot of our portion was spent on App Inventor. So it was just a lot of fun to be able to teach programming and have students walk away with this skill set in their tool belt that they didn't have when they came into the classroom. So I don't know if I answered the question, but that's
No,
kind of how I balanced it and stuff. And I'm very compartmentalized as a person. So when I was at school, I was pouring everything into school. When I got home, then it was all about being a mom and making sure that everything was going on with my family the way it needed to be. And we just made it work. And it was good. I don't know how we did it now. I'm oh my goodness. I don't know how I worked out of my home full time. And I feel a little sorry for some of my teacher friends that are still doing it because it's just a lot. It's a lot as a parent and to balance that out of your home job and family life and support them in what they want to do, etc. So,
well, that's amazing. Well, and I like what you said about App Inventor, how it's so great to teach kids. Well, it's such a good way to teach them the basics without overwhelming them and watching them create apps. We had a couple girls this summer camp. They created this whole app. It was unicorn shopping.
Oh, fun.
They took it and they took this unicorn shopping. Anyway, we're going to use it in the curriculum hopefully next year to teach kids how to do that because it's just a fun thing that was made by students.
That's on my docket this month. You know, as I work with Code Girls, I want to be able to go in and kind of get a lens on 4th through 8th grade because it's been a while since I taught that. In Colstrip, I actually taught 2nd through 6th graders for a portion of the day. And then I started my day off with high schoolers, 9th through 12th. And then I shifted down and I was in the 2nd grade through 5th grade wing. And then I shifted up to the middle school about mid-year.
Wow. To
help them out. And so I really enjoy students at that level. And so, but it's been a while. So I'm like, how long does this really take? How much are you taking in? And so I just have this curious mind and I'm like, I just want to go see what fun they're having and how much they're taking in during their after school program, if you will, of learning coding.
Well, and it can be tricky too with all the different grade levels. I can't imagine teaching all those different grade levels too. My mom's an art teacher. She teaches kindergarten through 5th grade, but the skill set between a kindergarten who can't use scissors and and a 5th grader who can make something look super realistic is can be challenging sometimes. Yes. So I feel for you in that aspect. So in your opinion, what's one personality trait or something someone would need to be successful in teaching specifically business or technology?
I've thought about this question a lot, and the word that keeps coming back to me is flexibility. I think you need to be flexible. There's a lot of things that go on in our schools that are challenging or interesting. We'll have policies come down that as you've been in it, you're like, didn't we do this like 5 years ago? But it's got a few tweaks. And so just being flexible. And talking to my colleagues that I've had through the years, one thing that we always bring up is that you're still teaching kids. That's what the basis is. We're still teaching kids. And what I loved about business and technology was that I was equipping students with skills that they could actually walk out of my classroom and use. Yeah. I was very passionate about that. So whether you're creating a resume or you're creating an app or you're creating a website, at some point in time, you should be able to either know more about that subject, be able to create it for yourself, or put it on your resume that, hey, I can do these things. Yeah. I just need some more training. So I was always very passionate about that. And sometimes it gets a little bit hard to show up to your classroom and be like, oh my goodness, I've got to squeeze this, and this in. But when it came back down to it, just having that flexibility of mind and just remembering that I'm here for students. And those generations have changed so much since when I started teaching in 1999 to now. I've probably seen 6 different types of, I don't know if you want to call them generations, if you will, but we've taught the late 90s kids, the 21st century kids, the Generation X and Y and et cetera, the millennials, and they do change, but at the heart of it, they're still students who need things to exit out of high school and be able to work in our society and one day lead it. So I think just being flexible and kind of grounded maybe in your base focus, like what am I here to do?
Yeah, remembering the overall goal. So can we kind of shift gears now and talk about what a day in your life looks like now?
Okay. I was thinking about this one too, because I'm like, so Liz Burnah was the one who kind of gave my name to the Code Girls crew. Said, hey, you should really see if she's interested in working for you guys. And so then I met with Marianne this summer, and we were talking about, how much time could I dedicate, and was this a fit for them as well as for me? And so my day, so we run 3 businesses.
Oh, wow.
In addition to this, I would say is my fun part-time job.
Yeah.
Okay. So a day in my life looks like kind of, if I was solely focused on Code Girls, I'll just focus on that. If I was solely focused on Code Girls, I crack open my laptop like many people do at their jobs, right? Check my emails. And then usually for me, because there's one day a week that I can't work on Code Girls stuff, I usually leave like myself a sticky note or something like that. Like I was here, or I have questions about this. And so I am constantly working off of, I'm a paper writer. So I've got, here's my questions that I need to ask. Here's my, I don't understand things going on here. I wonder if we could do this on this page. And so I've got little tabs that are in my notebook that I just kind of keep track of my stuff. And my focus has been in September to work my way through the guidebook that all of our teachers across the state get or receive to be able to offer this after school program for the girls across our state. So with that being said, I've been working through that. And then some days it looks like after that, I continue working through maybe one of the lessons and kind of keeping track of how long does it take me to get through it? Do I think that 4th through 8th graders could get through it in this time? Is there something we can do? So I was kind of brought on to kind of give that business and teaching look into the guidebook itself and add to it. And there are a couple of things that I think, I wonder if, or could we do this? Or, seeing you guys have, oh my goodness, all the resources that you equip teachers with are amazing. I've just really enjoyed going back through it. And it's been 4 years since I've been an app inventor. So it was kind of a little bit of a challenge, but I work through that. And then I get on the phone or on email or on the laptop, and I am researching. Hey, do you know where we can locate this? Or trying to figure out right now what I'm looking for is a couple of things that we can do at the end with the app challenge to kind of make it a little bit more seamless for the ladies in class and their teachers. So that's what it looks like. I'm just looking for options, developing new, not curriculum per se, but just kind of working with what we have. And if I was going through it as a teacher, what would I do? How would I teach it? Which is, I have my own flavor and style, and I understand that. And so it's been a lot of fun, like for one particular lesson, and I won't give it away, but I was like, oh, what if we did this and we were able to chart or use this particular tool to be able to give them each a fun size pack of M&Ms and like put the data, if you will, into the app. So that was one of the thoughts that I had. Another thought was, how would I teach this particular thing? And I was a big candy thrower as a teacher. And so that comes back. I was also a huge, like, different colored sticky note person. And so there's just different things like that I'm like, how would I mix this up? How would I make it different and fun every single week so that when students are coming back, they're excited. Not only are they excited to be able to obtain these skills and be able to create something, but also we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, just enjoy class.
Right, because, you guys know you were in it, but you go to school all day and I'm like, for me, I'd be like, oh boy, I've learned all day long. I need a little bit of a pick-me-up so I can push through and, be able to be in that space where I'm willing to take on that information and acquire those skills. So
yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for all you do. You've done a great job of bringing in the teacher's perspective to make our curriculum.
It's kind of what it was for a long time.
Yeah. So you said you own a few businesses and then you do Code Girls on the side too. What's your favorite piece of what you do just as a whole?
I've always been, and I use this term and people might think it's funny, but I've always been kind of a marinator.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy working in the Code Girls guidebook, whatever it is, right? Developing, thinking about new things. And so my favorite thing is I usually am on my laptop for a couple hours and then I pop off and I go and walk my dogs and check because we own a ranch. That's one of our businesses.
Oh, that's cool.
And go check waters and check on feed and who needs a new hay bale and stuff like that. I know it seems kind of very ranchy and Montana-y, and it is. But while I'm doing that is when I'm marinating, and that's when I come up with the ideas of like, ooh, I wonder if we could do this. And oh, I wonder if this would be a good fit for this. And so that's my favorite part is retaining and having that excitement and stuff. And, you know, I had said earlier, I really want to be able to go in, pop in and see how a couple of these after school programs are running.
Yeah.
But I kind of get excited, like, oh, I want to see what the girls think of this, you know? Yeah. And so it's selfish of me, but I'm like, I just want to go see how much fun they're having with the program because I just kind of get excited and but I need that pulse again, like I said. So I'm like, you know, would they want to do the cat again? Would they want to do the dog or should we switch it up? And what would that animal do? They want to do a pony this time or because we do a unicorn in camp, right? So I'm staying away from that. And I'm like, well, is a pony too much like a unicorn? Maybe we should do a dragon. I don't know. Yeah. So I have a 7th grader. And so I kind of look to her, but I hope I hope one day that she's interested in coding, but I'm like, which would you prefer? So I'm trying to seek out those friends that have 4th through 8th grade girls and see like what do you think that's appealing or interesting?
Yeah.
So
what do you like best?
Yeah.
No, I totally get wanting to see what the girls think of it. That's been my favorite part teaching and assisting in classes is seeing the girls do what we've put together and worked hard on. And one of my favorites, I'm sure you've read it, the PB&J experiment. I love that one so much. It's just a blast to do with the kids and yeah.
Do you mind sharing with me how your person when you were in there, how they did it?
Yeah.
I'm so curious.
No, you're good. So I was actually the one who did it in the beginner class a couple of weeks ago, and it's just fun because the girls all know how the basis is of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But when you say stick a knife in, you know, you could stick the handle in, and they all scream and they're no. Or smear it on the bread, but maybe the bread goes off and you're not holding the bread, you know. So it's just taking their instructions as literally as possible. And a couple of the girls who were in it last year are like, no, you have to do it exactly like this. But the majority of them in the class on Monday was just completely new, so they didn't know. Anyway, and then you set it down and you set it on the floor, and they're like, oh, no, not on the floor, not on the floor. Anyway, it's just a blast. It's my favorite activity that they do all year round.
That's good to hear. I looked at that one and I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I could see, you know, I totally got the premise because we used to do it as actually a team building exercise in one of our classrooms. But it was to go to the whiteboard and tell them to draw a shape. So the teammate that was executing the instructions vocally had the shape on their hand. So it might be a star, it might be a circle. Okay, gotcha. Take this. And so it totally clicked, but I was like, please tell me more. Because that's what I'm missing out on, I guess, as being on this side of it. And you said literal, and one of my emails that I wish I could take back earlier on is I did email Marianne, and I'm like, hey, so my name won't change in the blocks. What am I doing wrong? I shot her a couple of screenshots, and then I realized, I was putting the quotes in there. Like I said, it's been 4 years. And so I hadn't renamed anything. And we do it a lot in the guide manual with the global name. Yeah. I said, I was too literal. I was putting the quotes in there, did it without the quotes, and it works just fine. I'm so sorry for your time.
No, you know,
it's just the literal versus, okay, we're going to flex and we're going to move with this. So after that, I was just embarrassed. I'm like, my, rookie mistake after so many years.
Getting back into the swing too. So what would one advice you'd give to somebody going into your field, or what are some of the helpful resources that you used when you were starting out teaching?
Oh, definitely. So I'm going to go total teacher lens here. If you were in particular, I want to be a teacher. I don't care what discipline, what field, what grade level. My biggest recommendation would be that school have some type of a mentoring program. That's what saved my skin so many years in a row, was the friends that I had made at Colstrip that, okay, we're going to go in and it's summertime and we're going to spend 4 hours and we're going to put up our bulletin boards and we're going to lay out what our first couple weeks of lesson plans are. So just having that person to either bounce ideas off of, or that is structuring, like, this is what you do. Because for me, we just didn't get that. I didn't have that in my experience, in my toolkit when I was walking in, because I hadn't taken a lot of educational. But even in our educational programs, you go in, you shadow, you go in like your last semester and you wound up teaching. And yes, you can gather some of that stuff, but you don't get it from day one. Like, this is what you need to do. So that would be my biggest push, is check into their mentoring program. Are they assigning you an expert teacher or an experienced teacher that kind of has a similar, hopefully, personality, or that you can get along with, who's going to give you help and not maybe intimidate you, and be able to help you through your first and second year? Because in the educational world, if our teachers don't make it past the third year, they don't make it. And we have such a shortage of educators in our state as well as across the nation, that I think that's what many of our first, second, third year teachers might lack, is a mentor program. It really is survival. It just helps so much. Like, I don't understand how this works. And, you have that person to go to, or my grades aren't functioning or are not calculating correctly in this curriculum and in this program that we've purchased as a district. Can you help me figure that out? So
nice. Yeah, I get it. Having that support and that person to bounce off of helps. So we've already kind of talked on your experience with Code Girls, but do you have anything else to add, or any words you'd say to young girls who are watching us now as we wrap up here?
I would just say, even if, so I kind of fell in to being the teacher of App Inventor.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was selected. I just was. Maybe I was the one that just said, hey, I want this opportunity. I needed that, I guess, difference of curriculum. But I would say, even if you don't think that you're a coder or a programmer, you don't want to be associated maybe with that stereotype, try it, because it's so much fun. And there's so many things that I just think it gives a great boost of even self-confidence.
Yeah.
Look at what I can do that most of the population or most of my student friends can't do. It's our kids are in rodeo. There's not a lot of kids that do rodeo in our valley.
Right.
And so it's just giving a little bit of that edge. And that might be where you find your people group or your best friends. You might just really find that you are really skilled at it and just really enjoy it. And it just kind of fills a little piece of your soul that, wow, look at me. Yeah. Look at what this creates and what I can do. And then, I just look at you ladies and look at the opportunities that you have been given since somebody, maybe it was yourself, signed you up for that first class.
Yeah, I definitely would not be where I am today without Code Girls. It's been an incredible opportunity for sure.
Yeah, and I just think that's exciting. And I just would say, do it.
Yeah.
Sign up, show up, go through it. I think it's invaluable what Code Girls is giving as far as opportunities to students. And I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much. And this was an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Next week on Code Girls on Air.
I think one of the personality traits that someone would need to be successful, both in fundraising and in grant making, is to be able to see complex issues from multiple angles. And I think So I think to be able to do that, you need both critical thinking skills and empathy. And I think you need both of those because you need to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.